Hi, this is Stephanie Miller from The Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from my show on Political Voices Network. Have you noticed that our side is awesome?
Yeah.
Our side is like we have a lot of rockin' Congress people.
Rockin'.
Like from the great state of Illinois. Oh, hi, good morning, Representative Jan
Oh,
Schakowsky.
good morning, Steph.
Look at you, just popped up there. I loved your tweet. You said, how about we invest more in women's sports, pay women and men equally, address sexual harassment. I'm sending love to all those in the trans community. As the grandmother of a trans grandson, I'll always fight for inclusive policies. And thank you, because you have been fighting the good fight, with us for so long. And as you said, we were talking off air, you just said this is just bullying. This is all this is.
Absolutely. They did some polling and they found out that, some people are offended by the idea that trans girls are playing in sports. There's hardly any. We're talking about a tiny number of girls who, want to play sports. And in the meantime, we are underfunding girls' sports.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most of the money when it comes to funding for athletics and sports, it goes to the boys. I'm okay with boys, but we aren't funding, and they get paid less when they are professionals. That's where the discrimination is. But no, let's pick on the few girls who want to play sports and happen to be trans. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Max is right. Max is
well, yeah, and you also said instead of focusing on some of our nation's most pressing issues like gun violence, climate change, hunger, my Republican colleagues spent the week bullying trans kids. I mean, you're right. I can't remember a couple of these red states they were talking about. You're right. It's literally one or two people, like one or two kids that they're bullying, that they're doing an entire piece of legislation for, instead of the fact that, as I was saying yesterday, Representative, it is really the destruction of our children's childhood, the gun problem, isn't it? I mean, they are terrified.
The number one cause of death in the United States of America for children right now, guns. Think of that.
Yeah.
That is the most dangerous thing, more than any disease that children might get. It's guns. Just in my neighborhood, right near Northwestern University, an 18-year-old was shot and killed. It was really kind of a gunfight between teenagers, and they have access to guns. I also want to tell you, yesterday, my deputy chief of staff, her cousins, who were hosting another family, were shot to death, both families, by the son of the other family who had just been released from prison. I don't know how he got his gun. I don't know what happened, but it's everywhere. It's everyone. And our children are particularly vulnerable, and they're traumatized. They're afraid to go to school.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. We're the only country in the world that has this kind of the number of guns, more guns than people in the United States.
Yeah. I'm curious too if you want to comment on the Fox News Dominion lawsuit, because I was saying that at some point it seems like it's all one story. The 94-year-old man that shot the 16-year-old black kid that came to his door by mistake. His grandson said he watched Fox News all day long. I mean, that's their business model, is scaring old people, to be afraid of brown people, basically. And we've had several stories just in the last few days of someone being in the wrong driveway or on the wrong porch that have been shot. And
He said he was afraid. And you know what? Part of what the gun industry wants to do is make you afraid. Be afraid. You better arm yourself, because it could happen anytime. Someone could knock on your door. Someone could drive up to your driveway. They could kill you. They could attack you. Be ready. And so they watch it all day. And then the proliferation of guns, you better have a whole bunch of them in your house to make sure that you are safe.
Yep. Let's
That's
talk
the
about.
message. And
Yep.
that's how they sell and that's their model for how they sell more weapons.
Yeah, exactly. You've been working on another issue close to my heart. I mentioned to you off air, my mom is 100 and has Alzheimer's and is in a nursing home. And I say every time I'm there, thank you to the workers, and you are doing the Lord's work. I mean, she is wheelchair bound. I can't get her to the bathroom by myself anymore. You have to ask for help. I mean, the work that they do, they're caregivers. You've been calling for higher wages, safe staffing standards for nurses. You just said you were talking about the quality of long-term care. Far too many people are forced to enter nursing homes or placed on long wait lists because of chronic underinvestment in care workers. We must start paying a livable wage to caregivers who are predominantly women of color, and we must value unpaid family caregivers by offering compensation and acknowledgement of their contribution to society. I think that just says it all. Thank you for giving voice to people that often don't have a voice.
You know, more than 200,000 people in nursing homes died during the pandemic, the single largest group. Care has to be improved. And it is not the fault of the workers. All through the pandemic, they suited up, went to the job, and yet the nursing home owners made more money during the pandemic and cut wages. These people do God's work. They want to do these jobs.
Yeah.
And yet they themselves, what are they going to do when they get sick, when they get older? Yeah. Right now, how are they going to have a real living wage? And so we need to respect them. And so I have legislation that would actually make sure that there are staffing ratios so they don't have so many patients that they really can't take care of them. I am supporting an increase in the wages for those workers.
Yeah.
And everyone in this country who finds themselves with a loved one or themselves in a nursing homes wants the best care, and it is not provided. And that's because the money right now is going to big corporations,
Yeah.
The people who have no real interest in nursing homes and the care that they give. They want to make a profit.
Yeah.
Most of that money comes from the American taxpayers. About 75% of the money that they get, that goes to the companies, comes from from taxpayers. It's federal dollars.
No,
we have an obligation to do better.
You are speaking my language, because the kids, we pay extra to get extra help to come in because they're overstretched. There's too many residents. They don't have time to give your loved one, all the specific care that they need. And so anyway, thank you. Just close to my heart. Let's talk about here we go again with the hostage crisis over the debt ceiling, correct? You said you are a senior member on the budget committee. It just, Kevin McCarthy, I don't know what to say anymore about him being hostage to the likes of Marjorie Taylor Greene, who once again just disgraced the floor of Congress this week in multiple hearings, right? I don't. It's the body my dad served in, Congresswoman. I just can't. With her, I don't even know where to start. Her name calling and her just ridiculousness, and that Kevin McCarthy is a hostage to people like that is just, a tragedy, isn't it?
Absolutely. The only way he was able to even get to be the Speaker of the House was to sell his soul to the worst of the worst among the Republicans, the most extreme extremists. And so what we're seeing now is that he has started to lay out what does he want to do in order for the United States of America to pay its bills. We have to emphasize that this is money that has already been approved and spent, and now the threat of shutting down the government, defaulting in paying our bills. And what he has said is that he's going to cut things. If we default, Social Security and Medicare recipients don't get their checks. We see children and pregnant women not getting health care. I mean, their nutrition programs, including their health care. We see that he is willing to sacrifice the most vulnerable of us in order to stretch out the not paying the debts of the United States. Let's remember that during the Trump administration, 3 times in a row with no hullabaloo at all, he raised what they call the debt ceiling. It makes it sound like
Yeah.
we're going to spend more money. No, no, no. This is about paying the bills, and the sacrificial lambs will be the people that need the money most.
Yeah, and the $2 trillion tax cuts for the rich are what, put us in this situation in the first place. I loved you tweeted, "Happy tax day to everyone except the billionaires and corporations who don't pay their fair share." I mean, I feel like we
Or
run this
fair,
play.
probably. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say that in this country, there are 3 families that have as much wealth as the bottom half of people who live in the United States of America. Is that amazing?
Yeah.
And so we have this income inequality, and yet it is Kevin McCarthy and the Republicans that want to take more away from ordinary people and want to reward the wealthiest of Americans. This is a real problem that we have in our country. And Kevin McCarthy is leading the charge right now.
Yeah.
This is a very dangerous moment.